thought I'd give a response. Just wanted to say that I found your video fascinating. You know, it's so fascinating to see someone so worked up about something that's supposedly not true. You know, someone came to me personally trying to convince me, hey, you know, the Easter Bunny's real. I've got proof the Easter Bunny's real. Let me explain it to you. No matter how many times someone came to me with that, I don't think I could ever get so worked up and, you know, almost angered about, you know, someone sharing that with me. I might laugh, I'd probably humor them and, you know, listen to them, and I'd give my thoughts, but to get so worked up on something that's not true is just fascinating to me. Or what you deem not true, I would say. A couple thoughts I had. I mean, here's just a simple example that even a child can understand. You know, it may not be as complex as the evolutionary theory, but I think anyone can get this concept. Okay, let's take the let's say there's nothing in my hands. Okay, it's absolutely nothing. We know, and we've determined that, you know, time and space and matter all had a beginning point. Okay, we know that it had a starting point. So before that, I guess in the evolutionary theory, there was nothing. Okay, so basically there's a big pop and everything came out of nothing, essentially. I think that anyone can understand if you have the number 0, okay, there is absolutely, you can't pull anything out of 0. If there's absolutely 0 substance, there's nothing you can draw from that. You cannot create from 0. Okay? There's no sum that can be drawn out of 0. It's absolutely nothing. So if I have nothing in my hand, there's no way to produce anything out of it. And that's what we determined. There wasn't even the smallest molecule. It all had a beginning point. So the only explanation is, or you could say that, oh no, but that came from a universe before that universe, and so on and so forth. But eventually it would have had to have a starting point, unless the only explanation is that something has to have always been. Okay? You can't bring something out of nothing. Something has to have always been. And what's very interesting about the Bible is it never said that God had a starting point. It doesn't say, because people ask, well, who created God? Well, that's the amazing thing. The Bible never says God was created or that He started. He's always been. And if, you know, I've got these cheeks, you know, if I'm sitting right here, I'm sitting on this chair, there's substance here. This substance had to come from something. Okay? So, there has to have always been something. And that's what the Bible declares God to be. Another fascinating thing to me is just the complete lack of evidence. I mean, you'd think we'd find an amazing amount of fossils just totally, you know, affirming the evolutionary theory, but we don't. It's empty. We don't find those fossils. There's a few fossils here and there that are contorted to supposedly be these evolutionary links, but 1 or 2 that are very questionable. I mean, you're going to base your whole, I mean, to me, that would take more faith for me to I mean, there's a lot of artist renderings. Yeah, they draw out the evolutionary process, but the actual bone matter, I mean, yeah, they pulled a lot of hoaxes that have been disproved over and over, you know, like Java Man and all those, that don't hold any weight. I mean, think about this. Okay, they've actually found red blood cells inside a T-Rex's bone. Okay, this was, I think, in Alaska. Don't quote me on that, but if anyone writes to me, I can give you the source that cites that. They actually found a T-Rex bone. We're taking it out, I believe it was the leg bone, and it got dropped in the process, broke open, and they found red blood cells. There's no way that could have survived millions of years, those red blood cells. Okay, there's no possible way. Okay, and how do you explain all the cave drawings all over the world where people, you know, supposedly primitive people, have drawn actual images of, you know, Brontosaurus or Stegosaurus or some of the pottery they found, where you cannot deny that this is a dinosaur. okay? And these people didn't have the, the fossils of these dinosaurs, and they didn't have the reconstruction capabilities that we have today, yet they drew them on cave walls or etched them, upon ceramic pots. I mean, how do you explain things like that? You just go, oh, well, and this isn't an isolated incident. This is like all over the world. Again, if anyone wants to see this, contact me on YouTube. I'll send you the sites and the resources. You can take a look at it for yourself. Okay, if supposedly dinosaurs died off millions and millions of years ago, how did our early forefathers, early humanity, etch these things, draw these things, create these things out of clay, if they died off millions of years ago? Just a thought. I mean, you're saying there's God is laughable, essentially. I mean, to me, evolution sounds laughable. If you really weigh out all the evidence, I mean, come on. Everything just popped out of nothing, and there's some primordial ooze that maybe an electrical current went through, and that's how life began, or it's all these weird theories, Notice that it's still not called, like we have the law of gravity, it's still called a theory of evolution. So you've based your life, you put your faith in a theory. That God obviously couldn't be the cause of these things, even though obviously something always has to have been for this to be here, not to mention how complex our DNA is. I mean, would Bill Gates ever, say that, the way I acquire this software for my computer programs, I just sort of stuck it out there, and over time wind and water hit against it, and software was created? No. And yet our DNA is so much more complex than the most advanced computer software in existence, and we're supposed to believe that this was all random chance. I mean, I'm sorry if this may sound a little condescending, but that sounds more like a fairy tale to me than there is an intelligent being who created everything. Maybe that response is a little too simplistic for you, that God created it all. But why not? If you can believe a painter drew a fantastic piece of art, or a designer or an architect created a huge building, you wouldn't say, oh, that's absurd. No, you go, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's right there in front of me. Yet this human body, the complexities within it, you can't acknowledge that there's a superior designer. Just baffles me. Yeah, so I found your video fascinating, but it doesn't really hold any weight. It just doesn't. But, I thought I'd put this out there for everyone to see. I mean, very eloquent video. Amazing thought process you have. Obviously, you're a very intelligent man. I can't speak like you can speak, but I can look at what's out there, and, I can use my reasoning, use the intelligence that God's blessed me with, and to whatever degree I have it, and I can determine that, hey, possibilities for evolution, laughable. Possibilities for an intelligent designer, especially the God of the Bible, I mean, it's phenomenal the more you investigate it. So, hope everyone liked this. I'm sure I'll get a lot of controversial responses, but yeah, God bless. Have a good day.